I usually do the VODs a day later, and I'll post them up in the thread as well. But we're going to head on here to our second game of today. This is a show match between NetWars and mSj. I know I did just mention it in the thread, but the STPL overall is a 4-round tournament. We're heading into round 3 in about 3 weeks' time. With round 2 we have semi-final A, which is Red versus NetWars, and on Wednesday, that's next Wednesday, the 5th of September. Then on Friday, we've got semi-final B, but that will be on Friday the 7th. That's between Soul and White. But either way, this show match between NetWars and mSj. mSj just joining us for the first time. And let's head on over to look at the map they're going to be playing on in this second game. Okay, so the map is going to be a little bit strange to many of you. A lot of you probably haven't seen this map before. It's going to be Plasma. Plasma is, I believe, a Badlands map, or Badlands tileset map. I need to update that in the thing. But it did spawn from the 2008 Incra on-game.net Starly. Didn't see much use outside of that. Is a very specialist map as well. There's eggs absolutely everywhere, blocking all of the ground parts. But there's a lot of airspace. The main's very small on little islands as such, but there is a ramp going down a very small one. So we'll see that when we get into the game. But we're going to have NetWars Yeti versus mSj's lamOzerg. As we move on here to our second game of the series, it's NetWars versus mSj. Let's get started with our second game of this best of 5. And speaking of getting started, down here in the bottom left is going to be our yellow Zerg fighting for mSj. It's lamOzerg.
That's right, and his opponent in the orange at the 3 o'clock location, the Protoss player for NetWars, Yeti.
Now, in case you haven't been following the STPL so far, Yeti is statistically the highest ranked player. The ranking done by wins and losses. At the moment, there's no yellow system for this season. I'm thinking about developing one for next season, but that's obviously a lot of code and very hard to do, so I'll probably need some help from a few people for that. But either way, he's currently at 12 wins, 2 losses in official matches. This is, for all intents and purposes, an unofficial match, as it is a show match heading into round 3, just showing off the round 3 maps.
Yeah, showing off some new maps. Something else is going to be, I guess, not as impactful. Just a chance for the players and teams to kind of get situated and familiarized. There we go, familiarized with kind of the new map rules and some of the teams and players that they will theoretically inevitably be playing against. So
yeah,
just to scout, or just to start things out, as far as scouting information, correct direction being scouted by I love saying mOzerg. mOzerg.
I don't know if it's lamOzerg.
lamOzerg. Yeah, so every time I look at that, I see like a weird version of lamOzerg's name. So I'm not sure if that's like directly an homage, but yeah, lamOzerg, or if I'm a little bit dyslexic, I can call him lamOzerg, which is
lamOzerg, yeah.
Yeah, oftentimes what happens when I build up this like elaborate defensive SimCity wall, and then my Zerg opponent tries to like all in me and cheese me, and I've got like 18 supply depots right in front of my bunkers, and I've got like 12 bunkers and turrets up, and they're just like trying to kill me, and I'm just like lamOzerg when they try to do that. Or they don't do that, they expand everywhere and then kill me eventually. One or the other two. But either way, lamOzerg is many times my reaction. Although I'm not sure exactly what lamOzerg is trying to communicate with that name choice. I really never am, but I guess maybe we'll find out by analyzing his play kicks.
Yeah, now one thing we have seen here is Yeti not so confident with this map. Probably hasn't played it before this show match. I'm sure if he does play it again in the SCPL, he's certainly going to study it a little bit more. NetWars actually stepped in last minute to play these show matches, so That's why the Net Wars players are less familiar. Koga, I know, definitely played Icarus before, though, because he played it in one of my Clash for Char tournaments, but Yeti has almost 100% never played this map before, because he doesn't know how to scout. He's had his probe running around on the inside now. lamO has definitely practiced this map at least a little bit. He is taking 3 hatches before his spawning pool. He does have
Yeah.
gas already as well, so he is perfectly prepared for this map. Very hard to do any early aggression with Zealots, so he's setting himself up very nicely.
Yeah, we didn't actually touch on it too much, but this map is Icarus. It has, or no, this
Plasma.
map is Plasma. Plasma. I'm like, wow, you confused me when you said that earlier. But yeah, the
Yeah.
map is Plasma, and there's actually no, I guess, analog to Plasma other than maybe like the hex shape of the bases. The big feature of this is that we hate both eggs and fuzzy animals because we eventually have to kill all the eggs and well, something happens to these animals that are in the pens at each corner of the map.
Yeah,
We won't talk about that in case there are any vegetarians watching, but they don't make it out.
yeah, they never leave. They just live there. That's all it is. I think the person who made this map got trolled by the Scanted on Troy. Well, Troy. Okay, so Troy came out after this, I think. So no, it didn't. It came out just before, because obviously neutral animals do have a mind of their own. They can just run around wherever they want. We can see a Ragnasaur right there, just doing exactly that. And on one of the maps, it's not supposed to happen, but every once in a while, even on Destination, the Panda Bear guy blocked my expansion for ages because I didn't want
Oh
to kill
yeah,
it.
no, I always kill Panda Bear Guy. Panda Bear Guy does not have a fun time in my games, just because of things like that. Either like it's Scanted or an Ursidon or something like that gets in the way. I'm just like, no, 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 no. There's only one way this goes. And it does not go well for the little critter that's trying to screw up my build order. So, thankfully, we've got those guys all penned up in this map. But to talk about the actual build orders that we also have going on in this map, it might look a little bit standard when you look at the builds. But the way that the game has started, just because of the construction of the map, is definitely not standard. A certain player able to just like go out there and just ha 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 3 hatcheries
And
and
then drone
just
like
macro up.
crazy as well, yeah.
Yeah, no, this is insane. You hear about like Zerg builds that rely on a certain number of drones per expansion. None of those apply here because he was just able to get insanity numbers of drones. And so yeah, he has to survive against like the incoming either shuttles or Corsairs or all kinds of that stuff. But I mean, this is just a Zerg player on a ton of bases with a huge economy, and eventually Yeti will have to deal with all of that.
Yeah, and I mean, Yeti's building up his Corsair count. That's going to be very important for the incoming air units that are going to be heading towards him. And any damage he can get done is so important at this moment. He needs to do something to slow down the Zerg. It's going to be a while before he does have anything to put in his shuttle. Reavers are on the way though. That's going to be a pretty important tool for him to use in this game. But there's going to be a big factor of just trying to stop the Zerg from growing too big.
I mean, that is the effort, right? As Protoss, it always feels like that's kind of what you're trying to do. One of the biggest ways is just get huge clouds of Corsairs, run around, kill all their Scourge and Overlords, and then, well, they don't have too good a time after that. But Yeti's actually not committing to a huge number of Corsairs. He uses them kind of for soft contain and like air control, but he's not really committing to like diving in and killing huge clumps of Overlords. And he hasn't actually expanded to a 3rd base yet, so this is. I mean, eventually this will come back to bite him, especially as you start to see bigger clouds of Scourges that limit the Corsair effectiveness, and as you start to see this macro just go out of control for Yeti or for lamOzerg.
Let's just
There
call
we
him
go.
lamO, because it reminds me a lot of Lomo, and obviously Lomo a Terran player, but it's fine. Okay, so here we go. We're going to see the first Reaver coming into the 3rd base. The trouble is, lamO has been building a lot of air units, a lot of things that kill air, but not too much that shoots down until these Mulists pop out. And oh my god, he flew his Reaver into 2 Scourge there and takes it down immediately. Now, does Yeti have the proper response to Mures? I don't think he does at the moment.
to mutas, I mean, he's got a huge cloud of Corsairs. Actually, I say huge, but it's actually only 6.
Yeah.
So actually targeting
5
down
now.
a lot of the Scourge, but I think this might still be too many mutas, especially if he splits them up. But he's actually not splitting them up. Ooh, that is quite a few shots by those Corsairs off. He's actually going to hit the muta clump again. Oh my god, this is actually really bad for lamOzerg. He actually is just seconds away from losing all of his mutas.
Yeah, the other thing is he's got +1 as well. +1 carapace not quite done yet for our Zerg player, lamO here, and it looks like lamO gonna start adding on some Hydralisks here to try and break his way through. But these eggs, I think, have about 10 armor, and they take a very long time to die. You can see how many Hydralisk shots this is taking.
Yeah, the answer is quite a few, many. If there's somebody out there that actually knows the number of Hydra shots it takes to kill an egg, I don't know, man. Maybe go get some fresh air. That's
Yeah.
that is it's just many. In the Terry Pratchett book series Discworld, trolls have 4 fingers, and they count by going 1, 2, many, lots. So it's safe to say that lots is the number of hits that it takes to kill these eggs off.
Yeah, we're kind of seeing a little bit of a sort of topsy-turvy moment in this game where we did see the Sayers were built to deal with the mutas, but now there's no mutas anymore. All of a sudden his small ground army is going to start to hurt him, and it looks like he actually wants to break through the bottom. And obviously this is going to give him access to this extra base. We see lamO immediately adding a Sunken down there. I think he sniffed out that that could be possible. But still, he's taking a very, very long time to break through this.
Yeah, eventually he will break through it, and that does totally change kind of the way that the landscape of the game works, because you go from having this island map to having a more open map where your army can kind of get out there and maneuver around, and it is kind of cool feature. You don't actually see this for too many maps, so
yeah.
One big deal is what we're seeing at the bottom right-hand corner, and that is that Reavers break through eggs very, very fast, or very quickly, rather, to use correct grammar. And that's exactly what lamOzerg
He's not prepared
is
for.
doing. Yeah, and all of a sudden he's just like, subson, I'm in your base, and there's not a whole lot to deal with this. The Corsairs kill off everything in the air. The Reavers on the ground are just going to blow these Hydras apart, and I mean,
But
this
is
is
a
just
lot
really
of
great spot for
Hydralisks.
you know, it is, but I feel like these Reavers are just going to be really well suited at dealing with them. And it actually, oh no, he loaded up the Reavers into the shuttle. That was a terrible decision. He loses everything for free, and that went much worse there at the end than it could have.
Yeah, and this is the problem. He thought he was breaking through to do damage, but all he's done is open the gate, open the floodgates. The Hydralisks flooding their way through now up to his gateways. He doesn't have any units to defend.
Kicks, I don't know about this one. How the tables have turned, as they say. This is just like if you picked up a table and then rotated it 180 degrees. That's exactly what this is, Kicks.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is kind of crazy because we do have the highest ranked STPL player at the moment. The Reaver can't even shoot down this ramp. It's blocking the ramp itself. And I mean, this Reaver is going to be all that stands between Yeti and absolute death. The probes are being called to the ramp. The Reaver very low on health. The Scarab getting the last Hydras. But there's still so many Hydras coming up from lamO's base right now. Yeti's Corsairs have no idea what to do. And Yeti is holding on by a thread here. Luckily enough, he didn't have an expansion down there. But this is a lot of pylons of his going down. This is pretty much every single gateway he had. And he's desperately trying to build cannons to hold his mini-ramp.
Yeah, cannons and this Reaver on the high ground should be enough to hold the ramp, but I mean, this is a 2-base Protoss. Like, you just gotta find a way to get out there and get up another base, because these, I mean, these mineral patches at his main are like 200, 300. It will be mined out, and actually, lamOzerg is actually completely bypassing the main, going all the way down here to the natural, where not only are there no probes, but there's also no cannons or defenses of any kind. So,
yeah,
I don't know if Yeti is going to be able to come back from this one, Kicks.
Yeah, I mean, Yeti's a very strong player, but here it looked... I mean, he was desperately trying to build cannons up there, but he cancelled the ball when he realised it wouldn't finish. And I mean, he's just got no Templar Archives. He's going to be relying on nothing but Reavers. But he's going to be locked on his one base. Now, the one benefit he does have is there is 9 mineral patches. But for Yeti, they're already running dry. He's got a lot of probes. His saturation is way, way off here. And it looks like we're actually going to have lurkers being built at the bottom of this ramp as well, just to really add insult to injury.
Yeah, it's going to add insult to injury, to pain, to disappointment. The whole gamut of human emotions is being experienced right now by Yeti. That being said, 2 Reavers can just, you know, kill a whole lot of Hydras here. But the problem is the coding on this ramp is, I think, really weird because the Scarabs don't know how to path down it correctly. So
Yeah.
having 2 Reavers at a ramp normally is a pretty, you know, a hard thing to break. But this time it's actually a little bit more vulnerable. So either way, I mean, Yeti's just stuck on one base for the rest of his life, and that may not be much longer.
Yeah, because we do have lamo up at 6 bases, or 6 hatcheries already. Not opting to take another base just yet, but he is opting to build a small lurker contain outside of his opponent's main base, so going to be very difficult for Yeti to ever really achieve too much in this game. I think Yeti lost a lot of his Corsairs too, while I wasn't looking. One of them has got 5 kills. But Yeti is making a big gamble here. He's trying to move across with his shuttle. He does have speed, but he's flying into Hydralisk. This is going to be so close, and oh no! Yeti loses his final 2 units. And I think this is going to be it, Rapid.
I do believe your analysis is in fact correct there, young Kicks. The game, it appears, is tapering off to an end. You can tell because all of the Zerg stuff is killing all of the Protoss stuff. That's a telltale sign, Kicks.
Yeah, it is, and looks like we're going to have the Overlord check in on the status of the Ursidons right at the end of the game there in the top middle. Does see that they're fine, but Yeti is slowly losing everything he has left. He did get a storm down. It's a nice set of storms, but he's got no units left, and more Hydras coming in from all over the place, and GG! lamo takes down Yeti in this Showmatch series, which will tie us up 1-1.
Yeah, very even, very well played there by lamOzerg. You could tell really, I don't know if he's familiar with the map, but he definitely played to the map much better than Yeti did.
Yeah, and Yeti, unfortunately, just with a little bit of miss micro in a couple of circumstances, losing a lot of Reavers. Now, if he hadn't have lost his 2 Reavers at the beginning, if he hadn't have broken through the eggs so quickly, that could have been a different game, and I know that's a very obvious thing to say, but that's just how the cookie crumbles in some circumstances, and unfortunately, the rich tea biscuit fell off in Yeti's tea, which no one is going to get, and I've just realised that, because I don't think you even know what rich tea biscuits are. But either way, that is going to do us for the second game. This is a best of 5, of course, just to address a question from Creative in the chat, who is part of Red. The games in the show matches do not count to the statistics, so I was just mentioning Yeti stats just because I could, really. I've got the overlay there, so I may as well use it, you know. But either way, we're going to head into a quick 5-minute break just to let me get a drink and everything, so we'll be back